saw in the material is, if I could just be allowed a little bit of interpretive leeway and say the pursuit of the sublime?
It actually didn't start that way. I was very interested in his character, and it had to do with the striving, you know, the social class thing, which I thought was very interesting. That here was a guy who was of great accomplishment in many ways, but was still extremely upset at himself and the world. And I suppose that what happened to me was that Z took on a kind of a, it wasn't, I mean, if he had found Z or Z, or if he had found Z, it wouldn't have really mattered, ultimately. In fact, it would have been kind of an anticlimax, yes. Because it was clearly the thing that he was using to like project all of his disappointments in his life onto, like, there's the thing at the end where Rob says in that scene where he says, if you basically, I just think that Z won't be all that it's cracked up to be, and you find when you find it. And I felt that that was the whole key to it. That, in a sense, it was the guy's method of coping with life's indignities. Mm-hmm. So that was the thing that stuck out first when I read the book, which is weird because it's not, I mean, if you read the book is quite good, by the way. In fact, it's excellent, which is why you shouldn't read it, because then you'll say, it's good, it's not as good as the book. But the half the book is like, you know, basically like me, or a version of me, you know, like should be in the shtetl, 32 degrees below zero, like, you know, at the candlelight. It's a writer, David Grant, who's wonderful, like going to the jungle. So like that's half the book. The other half is Fawcett's life. Right. So I didn't want to do like a thing where we're following basically me in the jungle, because I'm not all that interested. Well, so I decided just to stick with a straight up thing, but it was not it was sort of a weird adaptation for that reason, because it was not a straight ahead, like, okay, here's the narrative, it's very clear, and the script took a while as a consequence.
But then this also became very much the story of a man and a woman, too.
Well, yeah, because I didn't want it to be a biopic. I didn't want it to be only about Fawcett. I wanted it to be, that's why it's great that everybody is here on stage with me, because what I had wanted it to be was almost like a comment on an age, and a comment on not only who we were then, but who we are now. Because in a weird way, I feel like we fight the same battles. You know, obviously, one look at the front page of the newspaper tells you that, you know, the patriarchy is in full force. So I thought
it's a little shaky.
Yeah,
but yeah, in some parts of the country.
In some part, but so I thought that, you know, Sienna's character was extremely important because, you know, the idea of I've talked about this before, but the extension of our sympathies is crucial to making something that has some kind of lasting impact. And that is ultimately what you're going for. And so I tried to give her character as much importance and humanity in the story as Fawcett and Rob's character and Angus's character. In other words, everybody would have their moment to be in the film and to really, like I said, to make sure that the extension of our sympathies was in full force. I hope this makes some shred of sense. I don't know, you know. At a certain point, you know, it's like that joke we do, it's the Woody Allen, you know, thing in Annie Hall, the subtitle, you know, Christ, I sound like FM radio. That's me. It's true, I don't get out much.
Wow. And yet here you are on the stage, and it's closing night.
It's very odd. It's very odd. The movie was finished 3 weeks ago. Delivered 3 weeks ago. So the idea that I'm here now is incredibly weird.
Back from the jungle.
Yeah, well, it's like, here it is, screen it, you know?
Could we talk about the experience of shooting in the jungle and how difficult it was to get film, and, you know, for you guys, I would imagine that, like, you know, there was a certain level of discomfort.
I don't miss the jungle.
Sorry?
I don't miss the jungle at all. It was pretty, but no, I don't miss it.
Okay. It was horrible. What do you? Of course you shouldn't miss it. It's like I said. First of all, speaking for myself, Rob did great, by the way. Yeah. But I'm, as I said, genetically engineered to be an accountant in the shtetl. So when you put me at 100 degrees and 100% humidity and bugs and the whole thing, and snakes and crocodiles and the whole thing, it was ridiculous. I never told Rob this. Thank God we're months now past. But there's this scene in the movie where they're pushing the rafts, very shallow water, in the Don Diego River is where we were shooting. And at one point, close your ears, Rob. I see this thing run up the side, and it can't be a crocodile. So I called over one of the guides that we had, the Colombian guides, who were, by the way, terrific. And I said, there aren't crocodiles in this water. He says, no, there is nothing like that, nothing. I mean, you know where this is going. So we do another take, and I see the goddamn thing. I mean, I'm like, that's a crocodile. So I call the guy, it's a crocodile. No, it's not a crocodile. It's a black caiman. So of course, I get out the sat phone or whatever, I look up black caiman, and it's like, a variety of crocodile, because you can be more fearsome and dangerous than the standard Florida crocodile. I'm like, that's the worst news I ever heard. So it was bad. You know, apparently an insect with Charlie, who's now in Montenegro, couldn't be
It's
there.
in the jungles of Montenegro.
Don't ask me. But he was like late 2 hours to set one day, and he was never late, you know, and I said, well, what's wrong? And then I hear that he has had an insect crawl in his ear and is starting to eat his eardrum. And that was week 2, and it kind of went downhill from there. It's funny because you say all this stuff, you know, you hear about Werner Herzog and Francis Coppola and all that, and you think you're smarter and better prepared. Well, you're not, and you can't. And you get down there, and it's, you know, it's brutal.
Yeah. So, Sienna, there were no crocodiles in Ireland, I guess. Right?
No Belfast.
You had no problems. You were so cosseted, and you had only Belfast to deal with.
The corset was a place.
This is why you guys are in front of the camera with a script.
The answer.
Just got chilly in here. Yeah. Here comes the mic.
Can you talk about why? Can you hear me? Can you talk about why it was important to shoot on 35mm film and whether you had to fight to get that?
Shot on 35 by the great Darius Conchi.
It's a very easy answer, okay? 35mm is better. I did a test. Well, no, yeah, right. Darius and I did a blind test at the beginning. First of all, I never shot digital, so I'm not the right person to talk about this really with because I hate it. But we shot a test with the Red, the Alexa. I didn't shoot the Alexa 65 because it wasn't in full bloom yet. But the Red, the Alexa, and I believe the Sony was the third, and then Kodak. And we filmed, you know, we basically watched them blind. I said, oh, number 3 is way better than the other. And the producers were bummed because it was the Kodak. It was about $750,000 more, which is a lot because it means 3 or 4 days of shooting. But at a certain point, and it's much harder, but at a certain point you think to yourself, at least I did, the audience does not see how easy it is for you. Congratulations, it's easy. We can see what we're getting, it's a thing, we all